Hello, sweet friends. Welcome to my October reading journal setup, where I talk about the Fablen Readathon and all 7 books I read this month. This month's cover page is heavily inspired by these stickers by Marigona Suli. I just love the October vibe. They're very cozy with a little bit of spookiness, and I just really love skeletons in books, so how perfect are these stickers? To complement the stickers, I went with a similar color tone throughout the rest of my elements, pulling out different pieces of stationery to complement the color scheme that was already in the stickers. One of my favorite journaling channels to watch is Rhymy Art Bujo and Books. Every month, she does a beautiful reading wrap up using a ton of incredible stickers, and I get all of my sticker resources from her. So, Rhymy, thank you for inspiring my cover page this month. And for any of you watching who need some sticker ideas, be sure to check out her channel. October was a lighter reading month for me. I actually spent a week visiting my family in Colorado and meeting my baby niece. She was just born in July, and that was so special. So I had lots of family time and less reading time than I usually do. But I still read 7 books, and this year I've been documenting that in a calendar style grid. It's not my favorite system, and I don't think I'll be carrying this into my 2025 reading journal, mostly just because I really don't like drawing out calendars. But for the sake of consistency, I'm at least going to continue it throughout the rest of this year. So I've just drawn out a calendar and marked which days I read each book, and I'm just attaching the October header to the top here. And then I'm just trimming it out and using a die cut to add these corners, these rounded corners to the calendar. Just soften it up a bit. And I knew I wanted to use this larger sticker from the sticker sheet because, I mean, how cute is it? It's a skeleton reading books with a cat. Like, it's perfect. But of course I didn't plan for the right sizing of everything, so this sticker is going to cover a little bit of my October calendar, but it's okay because everything it's covering up still is continuing on the next week, so it doesn't really hide any information that's pertinent to my memory. And then I'm just filling in a couple of the more blank areas with some more stickers. On the opposite page, I'm using this scrapbooking paper that reminds me of a vintage wallpaper. And instead of trimming that little white flap off where it attaches to the spine of the pack, I'm going to use it to create a little flap in my journal. So I'm just gluing the white portion down to the back page so that I can lift this page up and conceal some information underneath and leave the top for decorating. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm new to YouTube as well. This is my first year that I've taken my channel seriously, and I've been trying to document my journey along the way. So underneath this flap is where I'm just pasting in thumbnails of the 2 videos that I posted in October, so I can write down some little memories and statistics around each video. Most of my videos are reading wrap-ups like you see here, but I also do a readathon roundup every month so that you can find a readathon that might interest you. On the outside of the flap, I'm going to make a gallery wall out of these stickers. I had to do a little rearranging because the sticker sheet was a kind of vertical orientation and my journal page is a square. So I had to reorient where all of these stickers were going, and it was a little bit challenging, but thankfully the stickers weren't so permanent to the scrapbooking page, so I could move them around as I needed to make adjustments. I bought the sticker sheet a while ago, but it ended up being perfect because I just set up my own gallery wall in my kitchen. So now every time I look back at this reading journal, I will be reminded of setting that up, choosing out my little ghosty art prints for the fall season, And I'm just so excited that now I have a place to display really amazing art from all my favorite creators, and I can switch it out seasonally. So this corner was looking a little bare, so I'm just filling it in with a torn piece of paper in the corner and adding some stickers from the washi tape shop. I am so thrilled with how this page turned out. I love the colors, I love the theme, I love these little lanterns that just completed it all, but it's still missing a very important October element. You guessed it, frickin' bats. I love Halloween. Also in October, I participated in a very fun readathon called Fablen, hosted by the Word Nerd. This was a choose your own adventure style readathon inspired by a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So we went through 5 acts together as a team, each individually choosing our own path for our character to take as we read certain books throughout the month. I joined the Order of the Golden Rune as my team and decided to play a dwarf character. Dwarves got extra bonus points for reading historical fiction, and I also got bonus points for reading books with yellow covers, reading books on my TBR, or reading books that had specific words in the title. So as I'm putting together this sheet, you'll kind of see those little elements stuck into place. But to start, I just wanted to pull in some yellow scrapbooking paper as my background in honor of my team. The backstory behind the Fablen Readathon is that adventurers in the city of Coniston are called together to investigate a disturbance that is happening in their local tower library. The head librarian has gone missing, and there are tons of vines that are just covering the library, and there's a lot of dark shadows that are escaping from it. Very dark energy. So you and your team are called to investigate and figure out what is happening in this library. The story takes you along through 5 acts. At each act, there are different encounters that you face, and you have to choose how your character will deal with the situation that's before them. In the first act, our characters are challenged simply to get inside the library. The normal passageways, like the front door, are blocked by vines, and you need to find a different way inside. So my character found a window and got inside that way. The prompt for that scenario was to read a book that had a window on the cover. So for that, I chose The Address by Fiona Davis. This book fit the prompt for both historical fiction and was physically on my TBR, so I got some extra bonus points for making this selection. But I knew it was one that I wanted to read because I really loved her book called The Spectacular that I read last year. So I was excited to give this one a go. The Address follows 2 characters 100 years apart in time. The first character, Sarah, is an apartment manager in New York for an up-and-coming building called the Dakota. Sarah is at a point in her life where she needs a fresh start, so when the architect of the building invites her to come on to his staff, she jumps at the opportunity. Flash forward 100 years, and now we're following a new main character, Bailey, who also is in need of a fresh start. She takes a job redecorating one of the apartments at the Dakota, and while she's working, she stumbles upon some information about a murder that happened in the building 100 years ago. As the reader reading this mystery, you're taken on a journey from point A to point B through the 2 perspectives of Sarah and Bailey. This book definitely kept me on my toes, and I couldn't predict what was about to happen or how the mystery actually unraveled. So if you are a fan of historical fiction, this is a good crossover between the 2 genres, and I would recommend it. Overall, I gave this book 4 stars. And I will absolutely be reading more books by Fiona Davis. In Act 2 of the campaign, we ran into 3 encounters, which meant reading 3 books. My first encounter was in the main lobby of the Enchanted Library, where my character had to bypass a spinning vortex. In order to do so, I had to read a book with weather on the cover. So for that, I chose the book Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. Sadly, this is an instance where I chose a book based on the cover and did not like it one bit. The story is about an assault on a young teenage girl and how the town reacts to it. It's a commentary about how the American justice system fails for minority populations, and just the racist characters in this book really gave me the ick, and I didn't like it. For my study room encounter, I had to learn to fly. So for that prompt, I chose a book with wings on the cover and read The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. This is a story about a single mom who takes a job as an assistant for a very grumpy artist, and their own kind of troublesome paths pull them together, and she's able to help him be re-inspired to create his ultimate masterpiece. This book was the exact opposite of Valentine and all about forgiveness and mercy. For my third encounter, I had to find my way around in the dark and therefore choose a book with my eyes closed. I decided to go with our book club pick, which was God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is about a girl who goes missing at a summer camp, and all of the lies and deceptions from the other people surrounding the events kind of lead the police in every direction. It was a complicated mystery and definitely deserves the hype it's getting. 5 stars. In the third act of the readathon, I had to rely on my team to get me out of my first encounter. The prompt for this was to read a book that was part of a series. I chose Outlander because it was on my list of books to read in 2024, and I have been wanting to read this book for so long. I watched the show many years ago, but had to force myself to stop so that I could read the books before actually finishing the television series. And since then, I've just been so intimidated by how big each of these books are. But I knew I had to give it a shot, and I am so glad I did. In this series, we follow our main character, Claire, who is an Englishwoman on her honeymoon in Scotland. She visits a historic landmark called Craig Ladun, where she is transported through the stones 200 years earlier to a Scotland that is recently taken under control by the English Empire. She must learn how to survive in enemy territory in a new time where women have so little rights and so little education. I decided to rewatch season 1 along with reading the book so I could pick out the differences between the written story and the adaptation. And I am blown away, first of all, by just how beautiful Diana Gabaldon's writing is, but also how amazing the adaptation is, keeping true to the original text. There were very few instances where I felt like they left something out of the show, and when they did make very slight modifications, I could totally understand why a director would make that call to make it make sense for the show. The show also has excellent acting and costuming, set design, everything, and is an instance where it just makes me appreciate the book even more. The prompt for my next encounter was to choose a book that had one person on the cover. This was perfect because one of my book club selections was The Grace Year by Kim Leggett. This is a YA dystopian horror blend that was a perfect choice for October because it was a little bit spooky but not too scary for us wimps in the group. It is about a group of girls who are going on their grace year. In this society, girls are thought to have evil magical powers, and the point of the grace year is for them to go out into the wilderness for a year and spend all of their magic before they become an acceptable bride. The group quickly becomes a very hostile environment, and our main character needs to kind of flee the situation in order to survive. The overall theme of this book is about how societies can be brainwashed to believing something so far from the truth. And it opened up a very good discussion in our book club about just our roles as women in society and what we've taken on, because that is what we feel like our inherent purpose is versus what society has declared our purpose to be. And it was a very good discussion. In Act 4 of the readathon, my character encountered a book full of shrieking ghosts. And in order to close this book, I had to read a book that had eyes on the cover. For that, I chose Hera by Jennifer Saint. This is a Greek retelling of the goddess Hera, who was the sister wife of Zeus. I was hopeful for this book because I've read other books by Madeline Miller and Natalie Hayes and really enjoyed the genre. But this is my first book by Jennifer Saint, and I really enjoyed the first half of the book. I would say maybe the first third, because I felt the story was more emotional. We were getting to know Hera and her motives, but the majority and latter half of the book was very textbook instead of fiction. So it wasn't my favorite read, but I would still read other books by Jennifer Saint because looking at a lot of the reviews, this book was kind of different from what she normally writes. So I'll check those out for sure. And that is where my journey in the readathon ended. I was not able to complete all 10 prompts. I stopped only at the 7 books. But thankfully, I feel like this readathon I could still continue in the future if I wanted to. So I'm making a little pocket to hold all of the prompts so that I can kind of keep track of what I read for each. Overall, the readathon was so much fun, and I hope that the Word Nerd hosts another similar readathon like this next year, because I would definitely participate again. And lastly, I'm just adding in a couple finishing touches, a few more stickers and scraps of paper before we head into the final flip. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you participated in the Fablen Readathon, leave a comment down below with which character you played. If you chose some spooky theme for your journals as well, leave a little ghost emoji, something to say hi. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope to see you in another video real soon.